Woodside and its partner BHP Petroleum have approved the development of one of the nation's largest gas projects off the WA coast. Our business reporter Ed Boyd is with me. The project, Ed, worth about $17 billion.
$17 billion. It's Australia's largest big project of this kind in the last decade, and it's being described by some environmental groups as Australia's biggest fossil fuel project. So I caught up with the chief executive of Woodside just talking about the project, the Scarborough project, which is off Karratha in Western Australia, and how they're going to try and reduce carbon emissions that this project is going to be creating from now until 2055, which is when it's meant to start winding down. So they're going to be planting trees, but also working with carbon capture and storage. So take a listen to Meg O'Neill, the chief executive of Woodside, on carbon capture.
So we've invested quite a bit in biosequestration, so planting trees. We also participate in the offset market, so supporting projects that other developers have taken. But we are moving into carbon capture and storage, and we've announced a couple of activities recently. We've announced a partnership with BP and Mimi, who are our partners in Northwest Shelf, to look at one of the fields in the Northwest Shelf area as a potential CO2 sink. We've also signed up a partnership offshore the Northern Territory to explore CCS offshore there. So I think there's a lot of excitement in the CCS space, and anybody who's a student of climate change recognizes we need to find ways to take CO2 out of the atmosphere and put it in the ground, and CCS is part of that mix.
And Ed, with a federal election looming, Woodside says it's working closely with both sides of politics.
Working closely with both sides of politics. They're very positive about this project off Western Australia. It's going to be selling a lot of gas into North Asian customers, which are going to use it to help reduce emissions in their own countries. And the project's going to generate about 3,200 construction jobs in WA and 600 permanent roles once it's fully operational, which is expected to be around 2026. So this is Meg O'Neill talking about the relationship and importance of speaking with both sides of politics with a federal election just early next year.
So we think it's important to maintain strong relationships with all sides of politics. We work that very hard, and the reality is our investments are very long-dated investments. The Northwest Shelf, for example, the investment decision was taken 40 years ago, and we're still producing and will for decades to come. So that means that we have to have good relationships with both sides of politics, and I think politicians across both sides of the aisle understand the value that this sort of investment brings in terms of the jobs it creates, the prosperity it creates in regional parts of Australia, the tax revenue that we pay, the overall impact on the economy. And so, look, we'll see how the election pans out, but our investment decisions are made with the very long term in mind.
So shareholders did like the announcements that were put out by Woodside. Their shares jumped almost 4% today, and Kieran, the overall market finished up about 0.8%.